go here. Okay.
So we're going to talk a little bit first and then start the presentation, or?
So yeah, we're going to.
Yeah, I'll do your intro and we'll talk a little bit and then we'll rock and roll. You'll know when.
Okay, Dr. Ross, you seen that okay?
Yes, sir.
All righty. We're broadcasting live. We've got our participants are entering our webinar. This is the Washington Academy of General Dentistry Stay Home, Stay Healthy CE series. Thank you for joining us. For a listing of upcoming CE events, go to washingtonagd.org and just look for the WAGD Stay Home, Stay Healthy CE logo, and you can scroll down and get registered for upcoming courses. Big thank you today to Dr. Kenton Ross for putting together the Arkansas AGD Day. Thank you for putting our 3 speakers together. We appreciate it. You'll see QR codes on the flyers that are going by. You can use those to register for upcoming events. Should you have missed a webinar or wanted to see a webinar again or share it with a colleague or staff member, go to YouTube, and it's Washington Academy of General Dentistry. We'd like to thank our partners, the University of Washington School of Dentistry CE Department. They will be providing your CE credit. Your CE credit is not coming from the Washington Academy of General Dentistry. It's coming from the University of Washington. You will see those CE credits in your inbox in probably 2 to 3 days. If you're an AGD member, we will be reporting your CE hours directly to the Academy of General Dentistry, and you should see that on your transcript within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Things are really backed up with all the webinars that are going on and CE, so be patient with those CE credits. Just make sure you save the PDF that comes from the University of Washington in case there's any discrepancies down the road. Thank you to our partners in International Academy of Nathology, who yesterday put our speakers together, and the Canadian Academy of Restorative Dentistry and Prosthodontics that have our speakers lined up for Thursday. I'd like to thank Seattle King County Dental Society, Pierce County Dental Society, and Snohomish County Dental Societies for supporting us by emailing out the list of courses and other support. Comet USA and Patterson Dental have supported these webinars as well. We'd like to thank all our speakers that have volunteered their time and their expertise for this webinar series. There has been no honorariums paid to anyone. All of these webinars are brought to you by people that care about you and are good friends of the Washington Academy of General Dentistry. In fact, many of these speakers will be presenting courses in 2020 and 2021 at the Washington Academy of General Dentistry. For those of you that are new to the Zoom format, please play around with the buttons. You will see that you have the ability to type questions in the Q&A section. Put your questions there, not in the chat feature. We also are not going to be using the hands up feature. If you put your hands up, we'll just put your hands down for you. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A section and we'll get to it. I'd like to thank our panelists, Dr. Kenton Ross from the Arkansas Academy of General Dentistry, Dr. Gary Hayamoto from the Washington Academy of General Dentistry, Dr. Herbert Edwards, Washington Academy of General Dentistry. Our executive director is Valerie Bartoli. Thank you for all the effort for putting this together, Val. We appreciate it. And we just like to thank, again, everybody that's pushing these webinars out to their colleagues and their friends. Your staff members, your hygienists, your assistants, your front desk can get CE credit as well. We're working hard to put together some more CE for next week. We were kind of waiting for subjects based on our May 18th return date. So you won't be seeing those webinars advertised yet on our flyers or on our Facebook page, but those will be coming within the next couple of days. We'll be sure to email those out, but feel free to check our Facebook page and remember to like our Facebook page. Also, our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification on upcoming or newly uploaded webinars. We have probably 40-some webinars that are on that channel now. So that is just incredible, the number of people that have donated their time and their presentations to us. Those webinars will be up on YouTube for a couple of weeks here, but then we will likely be taking those down. So if you want to see them again, make sure you take an opportunity to do that, because we can't keep those up there forever. We'd like to thank our University of Washington School of Dentistry student AGD chapter for some of the speakers they've provided as well. You'll see QR codes with a link to the AGD. If you're not an AGD member, you may want to consider being an AGD member. It's a great organization with a focus on continuing education. We have what we call our Master Track program here in Washington. It's actually at SeaTac, which is where our airport is between Seattle and Tacoma. We have an educational center that can seat 140 for lectures. We have food facility there. We have 5 operatories, so hands-on courses can occur, and we can actually do hands-on courses for up to 50-some participants. Our 2020 and 2021 Master Track program courses are all put together now. We have 4 sessions with 28 credit hours per session. Some really great speakers that will be joining us, everybody from Dr. Rebecca Bacco, Dr. Michael Fling, and the list goes on and on. We've got a full day of CE tomorrow. We're going to focus again with the Brays on PPP, unemployment, those issues. Dr. Bin Tran is going to talk about orthodontics for us briefly. And then Terry Harris is back. This is kind of a repeat update depending on what new information Terry has since he spoke to us last. For those of you that were unable to get onto Terry's webinar because we were just overwhelmed, we apologize. We only have a capacity for 3,000 on our webinars, and Terry blew right past that. But the good news is, if for some reason you can't get on to one of the webinars tomorrow or in the following days, those webinars will be on YouTube within 3 or 4 hours. Valerie is doing a fantastic job of getting those transcoded and uploaded to YouTube. You'll notice we're not doing anything fancy with the editing of those right now. We just simply don't have the time. So just scroll through, get to the parts you need to see, and you can edit out all this stuff from me. Looking at our time, it's 2:30, and we have about 70% of our participants that have registered look to be in the webinar here, so welcome. As you're coming into the webinar, just a reminder of how the Zoom interface works. You have chat features. That's a great place to just say hi's and byes and that kind of stuff. There's a Q&A feature. Use the Q&A to type in any questions for our speaker. If you like a question that's in there, just use the upvote feature and we'll move that to the top in case we run out of time and if there's too many questions. We're not going to be using the hands up feature today unless Dr. Bernie Villadiego, pardon me, wants to ask a question specifically and asks you to put your hand up. He can do that. we want to thank our sponsors. Those include Seattle King County Dental Society, Pierce County Dental Society, Snohomish County Dental Society, Patterson Dental, Comet USA, the Canadian Academy of Restorative Dentistry, and Prosthodontics. And today's speakers are all being brought to you by the Arkansas AGD. And with that, I am going to actually turn over the microphone to Dr. Kenton Ross from the Arkansas Academy of General Dentistry, who will introduce our last speaker of the day.
All right, thanks, Dr. Hess. It's an honor. Great to be with you and partnering with the Washington Academy of General Dentistry. It's my pleasure today to introduce Dr. Bernie Villadiego. Dr. Villadiego graduated from Creighton University School of Dentistry in 1989 and went on to complete a general practice residency program at Los Angeles County USC Medical Center. He established a private practice with an emphasis in aesthetic and reconstructive dentistry in Chatsworth, California in 1993. An accredited member of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, Dr. Villadiego is a graduate of several cosmetic residency dental programs. He is also a visiting faculty clinical instructor with Spear Education in Scottsdale, at the Scottsdale Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. An avid photographer, Dr. Villadiego was influenced by his brother, who was a professional photographer. Practicing in Los Angeles in the heart of Hollywood, Dr. Villadiego has trained under several world-known portrait photographers, including Christopher Gray, Will Crockett, and Bobby Lane, and Hollywood headshot photographers Leslie Bond, Kevin Den, and New York photographer Stephen Shadrach. And I had the distinct pleasure of taking Dr. Villadiego's two-day course that was put on by Justin Dillner in Heston, Kansas. And I think what he's going to do is take you through the fundamentals of photography. I'll tell you he's very easy to understand, as he really breaks down the things you need to know. Through all these webinars, they're all held together by incredible photography, their ability to get in there. And one of the things that Dr. Villadiego is going to take you through today is that portrait photography, how we really use that same magic to communicate with our patients what we're trying to accomplish with their dentistry. So Dr. Villadiego, take it away.
Thank you very much. One of the things that when we talk about photography, there's so much information, there's so many things to talk about that I don't think I could do it in about 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So what I'm focused on this time is possibly how to use portrait photography in the dental aspect as far as internal and external marketing. And if we have time, then I'll go over some of the basics of dentistry, basics of photography. But at this moment, I think I'm gonna focus on just mostly how to use photography, especially portrait photography in your dental office. A lot of people talk about using the clinical part, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but this one's going to be focusing on mostly portrait photography. Okay.
Fantastic.
So, all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to my screen here, my presentation, and then we'll get started. And let's see here. How's that showing? Is that showing okay?
Yeah, looking good. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my information. Powerthesmile.com is my website and my office number. Please take this down because I know that a lot of people are going to ask questions about photography, and I love to answer back, and I love to help people with their photography. So please take this down and keep it for references later on. So photography, what is it? It's basically lots of light. It's all about light. So some of the pictures here I'm going to show you is some of the trips that I've taken to Iceland, Greenland, and all the other exotic places. And because I actually have a group of dentists that that we get together once or twice a year, and we just do a landscape photography workshop.
Ross, could you
I don't
the sound on your
anything.
side there, guys?
We
It's
just
pretty
go out
choppy on our side.
Sound.
Yeah.
photos and
Yeah. It's like it's buffeting. It's not following the video.
what's happening?
Your sound's really choppy right now. Are you on Wi-Fi or are you dialed into a hard line there?
My sound is?
Yes, it's so choppy we can't understand it. So
I am on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Let me try to move to a different spot.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. Any better?
I think so.
Let's see.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Now I'm just gonna go outside here. Maybe it's a better reception. How about that?
I think we're okay. Try it
Better?
again. Yeah.
Okay, how about that?
Sounding good.
Better, yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I take a group of dentists and we actually go to exotic places. And so keep my information and get back to me and we'll go in one of these trips together, hopefully. But photography, it's all about light. And as a photographer, your job is to understand all the nuances of light, anticipate it, embrace it in its many forms and nuances. So this was taken in Malibu at sunset. And sometimes, as far as photography goes, you can do absence of color, which is black and white photography. And I love to do black and white photography. And this was taken in Colorado, near the Grand Canyon. And of course, you have to know the intensity of light, how much light is too much and how much light is little. So this was taken in Iceland, in a very prominent area where it's known as the witch's hat. And of course, you need to know what time of day, as far as golden hour, early morning, and late at night. So those are some of the best times to take photos, especially landscapes. And this was in Canada. And you also need to know the direction of light. And this was taken in a place in Nevada where there's just no place like Nevada as far as the scenery. Well, maybe Utah, but it's nice too. And of course, you need to know passage of light. This was taken up in Malibu again. And of course, you need to know passage of light. Light goes through ice, so that's actually an ice cave that that you're seeing right in front of you, and that's me at the background. And of course, you need to know depth of light. As light goes through as far as distance, it dissipates. So you need to know how light acts. And this was taken in another ice cave. And you also need to know the aperture and the shutter stop and the ISO. And this was taken with a slow speed exposure. So you can see how we can create movement by slowing down the shutter speed. And we can also freeze motion by increasing the shutter speed of your camera. And this was taken in Malibu. And of course, you can do so many things. You can do some macro photography, which is what we do all the time in dentistry. And of course, I love taking night shots as well. This was in Joshua Tree. So there's so many ways you could use photography. And is it buffering? Okay. And there's time exposure. So this is taken in Utah, in Moab. And that's actually a guy there holding a flashlight. And just when you're up there in the middle of nowhere, pitch black, and you see this, it just gets you out of your realm of dentistry and makes you want to go out there and be involved with nature. Photography is very rewarding. This is again in Moab. So enough of the landscapes, but I just want to let you know that what I've done is I've taken clinical photography and taken it outdoors just to have a sense of calm and just relax when you're out there with nature. So it's fun. So you have to come out there and go with me. So now on to dentistry. So dentists have a serious problem. We waste a lot of money on marketing and advertising. So we also have a hard time communicating to our patients. So what's the best way to communicate to our patients? Visually. So we've taken courses, aesthetic professionals in Tarzana. I've gone to Texas Center in Texas, of course, by Health Stewart. I've gone to all these other courses here. You've seen them all, OBI, Guide. So you've taken lots of these courses. I've taken a lot of these courses. But what happens is that our patients could care less what all these organizations are because they don't know what they are. So I thought, what's the best way for me to show patients that I'm different than everybody else? And the only way to do it is through photography. So treatment plan presentations. So most of the time, I feel like when I'm presenting cases that I have a monkey on my back, that it's all about me, but it's actually all about the patient. And so I tend to just throw that monkey off my back and leave all the options to my patients. It's their decision, it's their health. So it's up to them to decide on what's going on. And so what I like to do is give them options. But before giving them options, we have to create awareness of what's going on with their mouth. So of course we have to do co-diagnosis with the patient. And I do it through photography. Sorry about that. Let me get back. Went too fast. So, you know, Bob Barkley, if you know him, I'm sure a lot of dentists do. But co-diagnosis is about creating experiences and emotions that patients can ask so that they ask for the best dentistry we have to offer. So we promote health versus finding the fixes and which is pretty wrong. We find and fix. So a lot of times people don't know what they don't want until you show it to them. So Steve Jobs. So I use photography as a diagnostic tool. So photography and dentistry, why bother? Well, you can only see what you know, and you can only treat what you see. So patients can only say yes to what they know, and they can only say yes to treatment possibilities that they see. So our job is to show them what's going on with their oral health. So best way to do it, you know, if we talk too much, then it's because we don't know any better. So the best way to show what's going on is awareness. So show what's going on with their mouth with photography and also video. So how would you like to treat this patient? So I like to use video as well as just still photography to document my cases. So this patient didn't think she has a bite issue. And so all she wanted to do was have me fix her lower teeth because they were getting shorter. So as you know, it's just not a matter of just.
The sound is not good again.
So show them their problems, and then show them the consequences of what no treatment would be like. Not good.
Can you hear us there? The sound is breaking up really bad again.
Okay, let me see. Now, any better? How's that?
No, still kind of choppy there.
Yeah. For those of you that are joining us here, Dr. Villadiego is actually moving offices, so we're doing our best we can here. And so, some of the best laid plans sometimes don't work out. Let's see.
Yeah, sorry about that. So just trying to get the best connection here.
That's
That's much better. Yeah, maybe that'll work.
Better? Okay. Yeah. All right. So after awareness, consequences, and benefits, patients' perception of value will determine if they want to do anything about it. Am I coming in okay now?
Yes, coming in good. Maybe speak
Okay.
nice and slow so it's got plenty of time to buffer, but otherwise it sounds good.
Okay, yeah. So some patients will say yes, and some patients will say no. But no may mean not now. It might not be the right time for them. So, but your job is to actually present the case, show them what's going on, and go from there. So it creates a pathway to communicate urgency, awareness, photography. So what I do is I do what we call the neocortex phase of photography. It's the mental phase of photography. And so what I mean by that is what we normally do in dentistry, we take pictures of the teeth. So what we do is we take the photos and we inform them, and just look at this tooth, these teeth here. The patient wanted just to have her teeth fixed, that little chip fixed. But as I showed her the photo and what's going on, she understood that it's not just a simple chip that we can fix, it's a functional problem. So we have to fix the system, not just the tooth. So that's what I use photography for, is to actually show them that it's not just a simple fix. I let them know what other problems are occurring. So I create awareness. So it's a functional problem. There's lots of wear on this person. She complains of jaw joint problems, neck and shoulder pains, migraine, headaches, everything. So she just wants a better teeth, better looking teeth, better looking smile. But as a dentist, that it's not just a matter of just making them look better. We have to work on the function as well. Severe wear on the bottom teeth, lower anteriors. Who would want to fix this just by putting some veneers on there? So one of the things that I like to do is actually show patients of these pictures of Charlie Sheen. Look at how he looked when he was younger. All the way on the left side, you can see that when he was younger, his face was nice and long. But as time goes on and the hardship of life goes on, he leads a hard life. And so you can actually see that when he starts getting older, his face changes. It's actually getting shorter. So here his chin lines up with his face. On this one, you can see that his jaw starts deviating to his left. And it even deviates more as he gets older. And then his face gets smaller and shorter. So it's all about a functional problem. And I show patients that this is a functional issue and is a disharmony of the system. But how can we show patients this without these photographs? So how do we introduce the possibilities of what dentistry can do? I like to use PowerPoint and keynote presentations by just drawing what the teeth should look like. So you can create these templates and just show them that this is what the teeth should look like, and compare it to what they have. So essentially, photography is the most powerful tool to increase success during treatment planning. So with photography, your patients see the conditions of their own mouth, and this will serve as a visual record and diagnostic tool. So show them what's possible by using photography. So what I like to do is I actually like to build portfolio of different cases. So that way, if I have a patient that has something similar to a case that I've done in the past, I can show these photos of patients that have similar issues that they have. So I'll go over a couple of cases with you. I'll go about 4 cases just to show you how I use them. So Richard, he's a emergency doctor. He was in Afghanistan, and he came in, and he saw the tragic life of Afghanistan and helping all the soldiers, and he wanted to switch to a different career. So from emergency room doctor, he decided to try his hand in show business, producing movies. So basically, he said that he needed to have better looking teeth because, of course, he's got to present to Hollywood. And so he wanted me just to do 6 or 8 veneers and go from there. He says he knows that it could be done in 2 weeks because he's read about it, and a lot of people say, yes, 2 weeks, that's all you need. But we did a photography analysis. We took all the records needed. And these are, so what I do is I sit there with the patient with the laptop, or in a consultation room, I actually have a big TV, about 55-inch TV. So it blows up even bigger. So they can actually see what's going on with their mouth. So just imagine you're sitting here with your patient, just looking at these photos. So what I do is I draw squiggly lines to show the wear. And who would just want to just put 6 or 8 veneers on these teeth? I sure wouldn't be comfortable doing that. So this position is where he loves to posture forward. That's kind of his home base, but of course that's not his home base. But he just loves to have his lower jaw there. So look at these pictures closely. You can actually see that all the wear, all the stress fractures. So basically I showed him this is where I want the teeth to be. And this is where I want the lower teeth to be. And of course, what do you think he's going to say? How do we do that? How do we get there? So basically, I just give him a couple options. I tell him that we have to push these teeth up, push these teeth down, and then of course, what's he going to say? How do we do that, doc? Of course, I tell him through braces. So to get a better bite, I show him where the teeth should be, and he finally understood. And when he finally understood because of the photos I took, then he went ahead and did the braces. So this is after the braces on the right side. Not ideal. He got tired of wearing the braces after a while and wanted them off, but it was good enough. So this is the before and after. So all I did was get the teeth in the right position, do the smile design, and then do a little bit of restorations on his lower anteriors with composites. And all the uppers are his porcelain veneers. So those are before and after. So I have this case so that I can show patients that need braces. I usually bring this case up to show other patients what I've done with other patients also. So that's his before and his after. So I have his before and after photos in my hygiene room. And of course, all the women want to know if he's single and if he's available. So So Nancy, she's my office manager. When she first came to me, she wanted to, she didn't think anything was wrong with her smile. She was actually okay with her smile, but I knew that it wasn't up to my standards as far as what I want. So I wanted to give her a better smile because she's going to be the front office person who's going to be talking about money, who's going to be talking about finances. And I want to make sure that the person that is speaking to my patients has a beautiful smile. So I did the same thing to her. Sorry, let me get back. So I did the same thing, took photos, sat down with her in front of the TV and went over the photos. So the ceramic work isn't up to par to what I would like. And I know she has some bite issues as well. Her teeth were canting. And when it comes down to it, I told her, this is where I want the teeth to be. And this tooth is the problem. So of course, what do? I tell her that she needs braces. And then after the braces, we did the wax up. And then put on some temporaries, waited to test the function. And then what we did was we gave the patient a Sharpie to just, if there's any shaping and recontouring that she wants changed, then we just give her a little Sharpie to mark where we want to change them. So this is the before and after. So the temps and final restorations. So you can actually see how the facial cant is no longer there, and it's nice vertical. And here's her before and after. So now I'm very confident that she can sell me the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 cases because she herself can smile and quote those financial fees. And she does it confidently too, and which is the best thing. She's not hiding behind her smile. So she's actually, she knows the value of this, and she sells me so many cases just with that. And of course, her after photos. So those are the restorations after we were done. And one of the things I like to show is the shapes, the contours, the translucencies, and how natural teeth can look. Because if your photography is horrible, then you're not going to show your best cases. You're not going to be able to show your best dentistry. You're not going to be able to show your best talent. So my ceramist is talented, and I want to show that. So of course, George, another issue with the bite. I do a lot of wear cases in my practice. And of course, I use photography again, show them where the gum should be. So I draw arrows, I draw lines, I show them where the teeth should look like. And then of course, I usually wait for them to ask, well, how do we do that? And with photography, it's easy to show them because now I use his photos to show other patients what we could do. You can see the facial aspects, all the wear. And in his case, he was a doctor. He was a physician, and he knew this was going on in his mouth, but he didn't think it was that bad until I showed him the photos. A lot of wear, a lot of dentin exposure. So what I do is I actually take all these photos, make a PowerPoint presentation, give it to the patient to take home. And sometimes they'll have to share it with their spouse. So, yeah, he didn't want anything too drastic. So what we did is we just built him up with composite. So this is transitional bonding with composites. And we just did a wax up. And once we have the right function tested out, and then we polish it. So, you know, he didn't want anything fancy, just wanted his teeth restored back, minimally invasive. So that is before and after. So I show patients, this is what composites look like. And then I could show them with Nancy, the one that I showed before, what porcelain veneers would look like if they were restored. So they can actually see that they have the option of composites or they have the option of porcelain veneers. Of course, I give them the benefits and the pros and the cons of both restorations as far as the material goes. So that's all composite buildup. That's what he looks like. And he actually decided to remove his eyeglasses and have contacts and remove that mole on his forehead. So he's a happy guy now. Eleanor, another weird case. Same thing, showed her where the teeth should be. And I just sit there for maybe several minutes looking at each photo to show them what's going on as far as the wear. And of course, we'll take about an hour sometimes to talk about their cases. And in this one, we decided to do some transitional bonding. So these are after ortho. And then we did some transitional bonding, but after ortho, she wanted more dentistry and she wanted some porcelain veneers. So she wasn't happy enough with the composite bonding, the transitional bonding. So we went ahead and converted those into porcelain veneers later on. So now she's happy. So you can see the before and afters. So I have books of these in my office of before and afters. And of course, I love to take glamour shots because with glamour shots, I could give it to them. And at this point in time, they're so happy with how they look. They're so confident that when we take a photo session, they're just giving me their beautiful smile and we use it for marketing. Norma is another patient that you can see a lot of wear on the right side. You can see that the chin is deviated to the right. So she had some issues with her TMJ, her condyles. So we put her on an appliance therapy, get into the right position. And then of course, restore her to the proper shape and color. She wanted them whiter, of course. So look at her eyes and look how much more her eyes open up after she's restored properly. And you can actually see the chin. Look at where the chin is. It's on the right side, the before, it's deviated and it's canted. When they're properly in the right, the condyles in the proper position and the teeth are properly restored, look at where the chin is now. And she no longer complains of headaches, migraines, all the TMJ issues related, no shoulder pains anymore. And you can actually see the eyes are no longer strained. They're nice and relaxed. So what I say is every time you have a case, document it so that you can have a portfolio of cases that you've done. It took me a long time to get all this, but now that I have it, after about a decade's worth of dentistry, and now I have lots of photos to show patients that that it's not my first time to do this. So I also show them how dentistry can make them look younger. And they do. Once you restore their mouth, their face changes. Their restorations are beautiful. Their smile is beautiful. Their muscles relax. Their eyes become very relaxed as well. And they can feel it. So the pre-treatment, provisionals, and then the final restorations. Sorry, let me show you that other one. So I have lots of these before and after cases. And I usually like to show photos of their faces, not just their teeth, their faces, because that's where it makes a big change. When you properly restore them, it's all about the face. So you can see the eyes, left and the right. Look at the eyes. Look how strained the right picture looks. And look at where their chin is, their chin position. So they're no longer have that squarish face. They have nice, long, vertical face with a V-shaped chin. So that's what a lot of the, here in Hollywood, in LA, you know, a lot of the women are always looking for that V-shaped chin. And so that's what we go for, is the V-shaped chin. You can see how the structure of the mouth can change their whole face. Look at the angle of the mandible, how it changes by restoring them, by having longer teeth. Same thing, the eyes, the chin, the cheeks, they're all changing. They're all nice and relaxed. No more TMJ, jaw joint issues. They're comfortable. So I can go on and on and on, more photos. So all these I use for my marketing. And of course, I have to show them where's the chin here versus after the bite correction, and where was it before? His chin totally changes position. And this one is a full composite restorations too, a full mouth composite buildups. So here's where the chin was, and now it's centered. Sorry. So the mouth changes the structure of the face. She went through ortho, no orthodontic surgery, just ortho. And then after ortho, we did some restorations on her teeth. Full set of composites. Yeah, she's 17 years old, and she started complaining of TMJ, jaw joint issues as well. And she didn't like her tiny little teeth because she felt that it made her look childish. So she wanted to be a young woman, and she wanted to appear. And so we made her, we actually built up her teeth with composites, full restorations. And after we did her teeth, this is her brother. It runs in the family. His teeth were short too. And when he came to my office, he couldn't even open his mouth. He was kind of stuck there because he actually had locked jaw. And so we had to put him on an appliance therapy. And after appliance therapy, get his muscles relaxed, he was able to open a little bit more. And then after that, we were able to build up his teeth with composites using a wax up, of course. And you know, this is it's all addition. We're not grinding his teeth down. Of course, we're removing some of the decay on his that's on his facial aspects of his teeth, but we're removing the decay and building them up with composites. But otherwise, you know, it's minimally invasive, and it's just addition dentistry. And he's so happy, and his parents are so happy. And who would want to cut these teeth down and put restorations on them, especially indirect, like porcelain? So adding composites, it's awesome. So here's another patient. Just changing the teeth, the length of the teeth changes the face. So there's several other uses of the photos in my office. Show patients what is possible. I show them the composite buildups, show them the stages so that they understand what is composites. So by doing some segments, they can understand how much we built them up with composites. And sorry, this young lady, same thing. She wanted her teeth to be longer, but didn't want them grinded down. She wanted to be a young lady instead of a young girl. So we built up her teeth with composite again. This one's just the uppers. So when we were finished at this point, she actually didn't like the teeth. She thought they were still too short. So she wanted them even longer. And so I told her, of course, that you know, there might be some issues with her bite, but let's try it because we can just add on to it. So we made her teeth even longer. And after that, we polished it, and she was happy. And you should take a look at how her face changed from a little girl to a young lady. So, of course, I'm going to be redoing my website because I'm going to be moving to a new office. And all these photos of glamours I'm going to be using in my website. Because nowadays, people don't want to read. It's all visual. So here she is, young lady now. And what does she do? She puts me on her Instagram because she's an influencer. Little did I know. So, of course, what is she doing? She's smiling all over her Instagram. And she gave me a nice recommendation, nice little write-up here. So, of course, I talk about other things, show patients, other things like pink porcelain. This is a case where the periodontist didn't want to do any more surgery, and that's all the best he could do. So this patient didn't want the black triangles, and she wanted the spaces closed, but the issue was how are we going to create closure on the black triangles. So we basically just did some pink porcelain, or not pink porcelain, but pink composites. So we just bonded some pink composites on there. So this is the before, after. So composites, we closed up the contact points with tooth colored composites, and we closed up the gingiva with pink colored composites. And we just tell her, you know, we bonded it together and split them together because they were periodontally involved. And so I just tell her, you just have to clean underneath the contact points there. So I use photos all the time just to show patients what is a pink composite, what is composite buildups, what is porcelain veneers. And I also show them the difference between composite, between porcelain. So I show them, here's what I like to do. Which one do you want? Do you want the natural look or do you want the Hollywood look? And you can see that lots of the patients prefer the more natural look. So I show them that before and after, this is not before and after, but I show them what my work looks like and what other people's work looks like, and show them that there is a difference between my work and other dentists' work. So this is my work, I tell them, and this is somebody else's work. And of course, I want to show them the difference because they're going to say, why are you more expensive than the other person down the street? So this is when I show this slide, is my work versus somebody else's work. So I like to say, let me show you the difference. Somebody else's work, my work. So I talk to them about shapes, contours, line angles, color, etc., until we get it right. And actually, sorry about that. I love this slide. This is my favorite slide. There is always someone who will do it cheaper. So this is I got this out of Facebook. I'm sure you guys have seen this before, but I just love this this image. And of course, I show them what does it look like when there's darkness underneath the amalgams. So I show them the picture, and then I show them their photos of their teeth with amalgams. They have darkness around them, and I show them this slide and say, this could be what's going on underneath your restorations. Show them cracked teeth. And I always tell stories with these photos. It's not just a matter of showing them. I talk about what happened and what the patient experienced. It's always a story. This patient was complaining of severe pain, but she couldn't tell that there was anything going on. After we opened them up, this is what we found, all this decay. And so I take this image, then I show it to the patients after we're done to show them what we did. So I always have a camera right next to me. I always have it there to document what's going on, because what's going to happen? They're going to ask, what did you do? And they're going to say, if this becomes a root canal tooth, guess who they're going to blame? They're going to blame you. So if I document them and show them what's happening, then they can't blame you for it. So acid erosion. Talk to them about acid erosion and what's happening with their teeth. I show them ABFRACTIONs. And these are very close-up photos. And when you put it on a TV screen and they see it this close, they're not going to deny having treatment done. Cracked teeth. And I will give them a thumb drive and show them what's going on. I'll share these photos with them, send it home, because what's going to happen is they're going to show it to their spouse. And if it's a man, they're going to show it to their spouse. And who's going to make the decisions? Usually the spouse. So if the spouse doesn't know what's going on, then this is the best way, is to show the spouse what's happening with their teeth. Internal cracks. And then what I do is I use diagrams from magazines and anything that can help me as far as showing the patients what's going on. So I'll just scan images from magazines that have good diagrams, and I will scan it and then include it in my slideshow. Show them about tongue ties, exam. I know you guys have gone through all this with airway assessments. Communicate to the lab. You can see that her face is totally canted. So marketing. That's what we call the limbic phase of photography. This is actually my favorite. All the clinical stuff is okay, but this is where I actually have my strength, is the emotional part of photography. All the other stuff I have to do, we all have to do it. We all have to show the patients what's going on. But this is where it's really my strong point, is this is the fun part, what I call it dentistry, because it's the emotional part. Same thing, you gotta make sure that you're different than everybody else. So you take all these courses, then after all these courses, you can't just take clinical photos and do before and afters. It has to be totally different than everybody else's. It has to be. Marketing, it's all visual. Visual marketing. This is a great book. Buy it. The world is visual. Our behaviors tempers our reactions and informs our decisions. So images will persuade the viewer of what to do, if they're going to go with you or if they're going to seek somebody else. It has to grab attention. So visual world around us, through the airports, the malls, billboards and buildings, everywhere, it's all visual. Everywhere we look, it's all visual. You can see there's very, very little text. And nowadays, even with websites, it's going to be, the websites are going to dominate with photos, visuals, and videos. So visual images, you know, they create trust and credibility. And usually I like to show the glamour shots to the patients, and then I'll show the before shot. So when I present this to other potential patients, I always show the glamour shots, and then I hit them with the before shot. Because my glamour shots are always going to be the best lighting, the best skin tone, and the before shots are always going to be clinical shots using ring flash and dual flashes. And we'll go over that later. So you want to present the best photography, the best images, the best quality images. You want to present that to the public, because basically what you're saying is, this is who I am. This is what I represent. This is my dentistry. This is my work. So if you're going to show patients, if you're putting an ad out there and showing patients like this photo, this basically is a photo that it's out of focus. I couldn't really see anything. It doesn't do anything for me. But if I show this photo and I use this for my ad, then it's more desirable. The patients will want to go to you more versus the one that you're presenting on the other one where it's blurry. The blurry photo, basically what that image is saying is that you as a dentist could care less about how it looks, because if you're presenting this photo that's blurry, then your dentistry must be horrible as well, which it may totally not be. But your images that you're presenting shows that if you show bad images, you must be a bad dentist. That's first impressions. So the quality of your photographs represent the quality of your dentistry. Sorry. So this is the same case. Just different angle and different lighting. And of course, put a little lipstick on, it looks nicer. So marketing. Who would say that these are beautiful photos? Would I be very, very confident, happy, proud to have this in my ads? But I see a lot of dentists putting this in the ads, in their ads. You know, trim the mustaches a little bit, make them look more presentable. So the photography, it's, you know, there's the color balance is not even correct. It's one's orangey, the other one's reddish. So your photography has to be consistent. You have to look nice. You're not selling commodities. You're not selling porcelain veneers. You're not selling crowns. But we tend to, when we're giving prices, we're pricing them as one veneer or two veneers, or, you know, what we're going to be selling is, what is this dentistry going to do for them? It's not a porcelain veneer. This patient wanted a beautiful smile because she lacked confidence. She wanted to be presentable. And that's why she was going for cosmetic dentistry. It's not, I want a couple of veneers. So this is what she looks like afterwards. So these patients are from London.
We're not hearing any sound there.
Not hearing it?
No, we're not.
Okay, sorry about that. So basically what they're saying is they came from London. They came from London because they thought that American dentists are better with cosmetic dentistry. And so they went to lots and lots of other dentists. They went to a dentist in New York. They went to a dentist in Miami. And it just what happens that their relative, which is a patient of mine, told them to come to me. I'm not a big name cosmetic dentist like Dr. Appa or, you know, all these other big time cosmetic, Dorfman, things like that. But they came to me because I showed them photos of before and afters. And when they went to New York and they went to Miami and they went to Chicago looking for a cosmetic dentist, some of this cosmetic dentists didn't have anything to show them. So by having a before and after photo, they actually decided to have me do their teeth. And this is what they look like before. So now they're so happy and thrilled. It was actually the male that I was going to be, he was my actual primary patient. And after I was done with him, he was so happy that, of course, his wife came along on his next trip. And so I ended up doing her teeth as well. But the only reason why they had me do it is because I had photos to show them. So every patient has a story behind each smile. This is Annette. What I do is I tell the patients, this is their backstory. This is Annette, who was a stay-at-home housewife, she had a very dominant husband who decided that she stays home. He works, she stays home. You know, after a while, make the long story short, she found out that he was messing around with somebody else. And so before she decided to divorce him, say the least, she decided to have some cosmetic work done. So she wanted to get her teeth done, and then she did a little bit of nose job. And so look at her now. So her husband paid for these, of course, and after all that, she divorced him. So, but look at her now. She's gone from a very, very shy person to a very, very outgoing, and just because of what we do. We made her a beautiful smile. She's more confident. And then we took some glamour shots, and from here she became a beauty consultant. So she has her own company now. And so she talks about getting the best nose job or the best smile, and she sends me so many of her clients to get their teeth done. So these are some of the pictures that she's appeared on. She does a lot of stock photography, so she's a model for the Flowers and AAA, and she was in a movie called the Flight That Fought Back about the 9/11, and she started doing a lot of runway hosting, and she says she could never have done this without a beautiful smile. And so every time, and of course she found a better husband, and now she has a beautiful family. But I could go on and on about stories. This patient, she changed her lifestyle. She changed her eating habits after we did her teeth. So she's a lot more healthier and happy. But she says if we didn't change her smile, she would never have gone the extra steps to get her health back. You know, grandma, you know, she's always wanted to have beautiful teeth, but it's always the children first and then the grandchildren after her. And so finally she decided to get her teeth done. So look at how she's changed. So it's fun. And I use this for all the marketing, but you got to have a real story behind each photos when you're talking to other potential patients, because they're smart. Patients nowadays are smart, and they'll do their research, and you have to put the human element into a lot of these photos. So sorry about the video, but you know, I actually hired videographers to tell stories of my patients and give me testimonials. So these are before and after photos of patients that I had, and they gave me testimonials of how they experienced going to me. So sorry that's not going through, but this is actually on my website, so you can always watch this on my YouTube. So it's about branding yourself. Anybody know this? The crocodile? I'm sure everybody knows that. Everybody knows the polo man. Everybody knows this, right? And this. So if you look at all these images, these companies have done a great job of branding themselves, because you can actually see just by the logo who they are and what they represent. And so that's what you have to do in your area, is brand yourself. You're going to be branding yourself to be the best cosmetic dentist in your area. Sorry. So what I do is I have this photo studio in my office, and it's just one of the operatories that I converted into a photo studio. It's an 8x10. It's an 8x10 room. And so what I have is I have all these photo lights hanging from the ceiling and from the sides and all that. And so I take these photos. I take the photos here, and so when my front office manager is going down the hallway and giving them a tour of our office, this is usually at the very end of the hallway, and they see this, and then it basically confirms to the patients that I took the photos, I did the work, and I usually let them know that after we're done, I would like to have photos of them, and I want them to experience getting their photos taken, and then I give them maybe 200 or 250 images that they can look through, and then I tell them to give me three or four images that they like the best, and then from there, I could retouch it. I could remove a little bit of wrinkles here, a little bit of wrinkles there, or just whatever that they want me to fix in their photo, I can fix as well. And so and I learned Photoshop just by going to my community college and just learning how to do some basic Photoshop. Or you can actually go to YouTube, or there's so many information on the internet now on how to do things. So but that's how I started, is I actually went to my community university or community college and just learned basics of Photoshop and photography. But when they look at your photo studio, they think you're an artist. They think that, hey, he takes beautiful photos. He must be a very, very good artistic dentist. So he must have some artistic talent behind those hands. And so when they see this, it just changed the whole perception of me, because not too many offices have studios. So, and I've gone beyond. Actually, I'm moving. I'm actually downsizing. I don't need my photo studio anymore, but I'll put them up whenever I want to. But I have so many photos that I've accumulated over 20-something years of doing dentistry that what I do now is, because I live in Southern California where it's always sunny, the area that I'm going to be moving in has a nice atrium, has some nice areas that I can photograph. And so I decided to get rid of my studio because it's always sunny in LA. So I decided I'll just take photos using natural sunlight. And so that's what I started doing, is just taking photos outside as well. So these are some of the things. I give photography workshops. I show dentists how to take photos outside, as well as if they have a photo studio inside. So these are some of the photos that we took outside. And you can see the background is all blurred, beautiful skin. Natural sunlight is probably the best light that you can have. And so we take advantage of that. But I know that some places like New York or up there in North Dakota, South Dakota, where it's cold all the time, you can't take these photos all the time. So that's where an indoor studio photography would be the best. Also, when you're taking photos outside, you have to know how to control the exposure, because the sun's going to be coming in and out of the clouds, and so your your exposure has to be dead on. So it's a little bit more tricky taking photos outside. Indoors, it's a lot easier because all the settings and the light intensities are all pretty much dialed in. So you can just leave it as one setting and just have the patients sit and take photos. Outside's a little bit more tricky, but I just love taking photos outside too, though. So, you know, people with large windows, you know, as I said, natural light, sunlight is the best, but you just have to control it. So this is another one where you can take advantage if you have a large window in your reception room or in one of your other you know, spaces in your operatories or something. Then use the sunlight, and these are just outstanding lighting from just using the sun. And you can see that from the window, I diffuse it with a white fabric, so to let some sunlight in. You can actually see in the close-up photos of the eyes, you can actually see me in her eyes. So whenever you want to find out what type of lighting the photographer is using, look at the eyes, and you can actually see what lighting that they're using. You can see that this is a large window, and you can actually see me in the middle of it. And you know, these glamour shots is better than giving mugs. And so the patients, you know, my patients use the photos I give them for their advertising as well. And you know, Barbara Bennett is one of my patients, and she says she loved the photos that I took of her, and she just wants to use them for her ads and her advertising. And guess who she talks about all the time? She's so thrilled that she talks about, of course, moi, and how I took her photos. I did her teeth, took her photos, and all that. So, and the guy on the right, he, you know, he took my photo and decided to put it in his 50th birthday party. So that's the photo that I took of him, and he used it for personal use. So they always think about you. It's you know, when you take photos, it goes beyond your dental office. And I use all the photos for my community newspaper. I put ads. So what I do is like in maybe November, December of each year, I will put all the photos. I'll take 12 photos or 12 cases that I like the best, and I will go ahead and create these ads for my community newspaper. And my focus is to have one ad for each month. So I'll have 12 photos, and I'll label one ad for January. I'll label another ad for February, March, April, May, June, July, all that. So I will give it to my local newspaper, and each month they will pick the image that I had created, and they'll put it in the ad. So of course, I try to put something on the ad that says that this is Ralph, who owns a car dealership, or this is Dr. So-and-so, and you can meet him at his medical clinic at, you know, whatever. So, but I'll always put something there to help promote that patient. And of course, they love it so much that they talk about it to their neighbors. They, you know, it's funny because one lady went around grabbing all the community newspapers from her neighbors so that she can have several copies, so that she can show it to relatives and friends, et cetera, et cetera. But I told her you didn't have to do that. I could, you know, just get it from the publisher. But it was great because she was going through each neighbor and letting him know, look at me, look at me, look at me, and so of course that's just word of mouth promotion. Can't get enough of that. So the main purpose of a photo is not just to promote yourself or a service, but to make the ad stand out from all the other ads. So when you look at this, you know, this is an ad that I saw, and it's a beautiful lady, naked, with a caption, just a one ad caption. too old to be an anti-aging ad. So the whole marketing campaign was this. And what do you think that ad is all about? It's skin, naked ladies. It's a Dove ad. You know, the skincare. So their whole campaign was this, but it's simple. It didn't say anything except for, you know, they get you with their last caption, but there's hardly any text. But when I'm going through the magazines, I'm looking through this and thinking, what is this? It made me stop and look at this ad. And that's what you want your pictures to show, is have them stop, look at your ad and see what it's all about. Make it simple. No, not too much text, very, very little text. Same thing should be for your website. Should be very, very little text. Let the visuals talk for you. So that's their whole ad there. So avoid using clinical pictures in advertisements. All those before and after photos or close-ups, patients don't want to see that. They want to see beautiful faces and smiles. You know, I see a lot of this all the time where they actually use a before and after of the teeth, but it doesn't do anything because there's no human element to it. It's just a smile. Yeah, look at some of these ads are just, you know, they're just so wordy, so much text. I'm just going to keep on turning the page because it's not doing anything for me. It's just someone's trying to cram all this information into a single ad. Same thing. So if your ads look like this, change them, make them look classy. This is just telling me that this dentist is all about budgets and low cost and not quality oriented. That's what I get from looking at these ads. It may not be who this dentist is, but that's the feeling that I get when I'm looking at these ads. And I'm sure that your other potential patients are looking at these too and looking at it the same way I do. But what I do is I go to magazines and just tear out a page that I like. And then what I'll do is I'll try to simulate it or try to copy it. And this is my friend's husband. And so I kind of like this Tagular ad. And so I had him pose with the glasses, but instead of no smile, I decided to add a smile in there. Same thing. I like this photo, and I just had my patient kind of pose the same way. Sometimes I just don't have any creative ideas, so why you know, why stress over it? So what I do is I just take this photo, show it to the patient, say, you know, I love this photo. Let's try to recreate it the same way. And you know, they really get involved with this when we're trying to recreate the photo. And then when we get it, you know, they're so happy. So one of the things that happened is that one of my patients in the very, very beginning would just go down the hallway. We don't have all these photos up on the walls. And she came in and she had her porcelain veneers done by another dentist. And so I asked her, why didn't she have me do it? Since, you know, I do a lot of cosmetic dentistry. She says, I didn't know that you do that. I didn't know that you do cosmetic dentistry. So that was the last straw. So what I do now is I just put photos of before and afters all over my walls in my office and show them that I do cosmetic dentistry, because I don't want to lose another patient to another dentist by not letting him know what I do. So I have all these before and afters just down the hallway, books. So use your walls in your dental office as premium advertising space. So these are metal prints that I ordered from bayphoto.com, and they're actually you can see they're actually floating images. So they're made out of aluminum prints, and there's a 4x6 of their before and a 4x6 of the before and after. And so what I do is I kind of float them on top of the photos. So they're kind of like a 3-dimensional presentation. Of course, Game of Thrones, I'm a fan of. And one of the things he always talks about that at the very end in the final, he says, there's nothing more powerful in the world than a good story. And so, as I was saying, when I'm doing case presentations and talking to the patients, guess which side of the table I sit at, the left or the right. So I'm going to be sitting on the left because the patients are going to be sitting on the right looking at the photos. I don't want them sitting on the left side looking at my diplomas. So I have them on the right side looking at the photos instead. And what I will do is I will switch out those photos. And if I know that the patient has a certain condition that another patient that I had, so what I'll do is I'll pick the patient that is similar to the patient that I'm talking to, and I'll put their photos up. So it's subliminal. So I can turn around and say, well, this patient here actually has the same condition that you have, and this is what we did. So in a way, it's kind of setting up and staging it so that the patients will understand that, hey, I'm not the only person that had this. It makes them more comfortable to know that somebody else had that work done as well. And this is the outcome of what I did for them. So they understand. Anything to get that percentage up as far as treatment planning. So this is another video. Sorry, it's on my YouTube, and this is Kurt Berendt from Act Dental, and he talks about putting photos up, and basically do not put photos up of birds, trees, waterfalls. He says Van Gogh is, don't put pictures of that. Put pictures of before and afters, and he helped me to realize that before because I had lots of photos of cartoons that had film themes on it. But you can watch that in my on my YouTube videos too. So this is another one that's about websites, how you should have websites that have more visuals and less text on them, and lots of videos as well. So Kirk did another video for me on that. So nowadays it's all about social media. Facebook, Pinterest, Google+, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. That's what they do. They all are visuals. Most of them are visuals. Twitter, not so much, but Instagram, definitely. And Facebook, lots of photos. So you got to get the word out there, and by using social media. So Facebook, Pinterest, Google+, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. So hang on 1 minute. Can you, my battery? Yeah, can you get my plug? My battery's gonna run out here. So during Halloween, what we do is we actually do dress up. And so I have my my front office manager put on a wig, and we just dress up. And so I have my dental assistants. Everybody's it's setting the environment in your office. Have everybody have fun, and my hygienist and my dental assistant. And so we had them in front of my photo studio and take some photos, and guess where they go? They go into my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all this other stuff. And I show them how, of course, patients love the interactions, because they will come back to the office and say, oh, I love your outfit, or et cetera, et cetera. So I know that this is getting out there. Sorry about that. So here's a whole gang, and this goes on my Facebook page, and this goes on my Instagram page, and so it's fun. I have this thing called Patient Appreciation Day. where I invite the spouses to come in, because most of the time patients will just come in, but you want to get their spouses in there too. So I invite the spouse. So I have the before and afters, and then the spouse comes in, and I'll do a couples picture with them, and so that they could take this home with them, and they'll put it up, and guess who they're going to think of every single day, every time they take a look at these photos. They're going to think about the doctor or the dentist that took pictures of them. And so it's beyond the teeth. And sometimes the patient's spouse can dominate. This guy was having so much fun that we decided to take more photos of him. So of course, guess what? He became a patient of mine as well. So he thought that it was so cool to have this done, and it was free. It was complimentary. You know, it's just they win because they get some photos, and I win because I get photos, and I could use this for marketing. So have fun, give them a good experience, convert them to joining your family. So this is you know, I kind of like to play around with different lighting and different looks, just to, you know, if the patient's willing, then we'll have a good time and just kind of try different setups of lights just to see what it looks like. So these are other photos of Patient Appreciation Day. You know, it's kind of like going into a photo booth and taking photos, and you know, it's just having fun. And you connect with the patients this way, and the patients connect with you. I usually do the photo sessions right around September, October, because they could use it for Thanksgiving Day holiday cards, or Christmas holiday cards, or you know, Jewish holiday cards. So, but it's fun to do. I have propaganda in my reception room. My propaganda books, my before and after book is right there in the reception area. And then I have a smile gallery in the wall. I have photos in Demand Force. If you use Demand Force or others, you know, you can use your photos there. Smile reminders. One of my friends in the Philippines decided to take it's, you know, of course, the Philippines is a third world country. So he's decided that he's going to market to the wealthy as well in the Philippines. And so he started doing his before and after shots too. So, and then he has some patriots from the US living in the Philippines. And so he's marketing to them as well. So you have to know your audience. Collages. One of my inspirations was Norm Hefner. He was the one that I took some photography classes, and he taught me how to use these as well. So what he does is he does a lot of beauty pageants and takes photos, and then he makes collages for his patients and gives it to them as a present. So I use this place called blurb.com. So I have these books of before and afters, and here's Annette again, and volume 1, and then here's my wife, volume 2, and then one of my patients that is outgoing, and you know, a lot of people thought he was handsome, so I put him on the next volume, volume 3. So but these are what the insides look like. So basically this blurb.com is just drag and drop your images. You just they're preset templates, and all you do is just drag the images to whatever space you want to do. So it's very, very simple. You can change the background, but this has become very powerful, this blurb book of mine. I actually now have volume 6, working on volume 7. But what I do is I will give these books to the nail salon next door, or I'll give it to the beauty salon next door. I'll give it to the chiropractor, or anybody that has a reception table. I will give it to them and just ask them, hey, could I leave this here? And you know, you could set up something that give them a free whitening or whatever you want to do as far as setting it up. But what I do is I just give a book with lots of my business cards in the back so that the patients will look through it and take my card, hopefully. So if you want to, I know some dentists have gives kickbacks to the owners of the store, or you know, and give them maybe 5 or 10% every time they get something out of having the books in the front, the reception room. But there's another book that's pretty nice. Wedding Photographers uses this website, Artisan State book. It's more classy. And of course, I use I use the photos in my practice folders. Before, of course, I used to put it on my CDs, but I no longer put on CDs because I have thumb drives, so I don't use CDs anymore. But I used to have my images on there. This is another strong one is these video slideshow makers. You know, nowadays there's so many slideshow softwares out there. One of them is movavi.com. You can go there. NCH Software, Phototopia. You could go there, and they have all these softwares that you can actually make slideshows. And I'll show you this one. I'll just scan through it. But basically, it's a slideshow that I put together in maybe about 20, 30 minutes of you know, a little introduction of me and my photos and my accreditation, when I've showed up on a TV, you know, on a news program. So I'll put that on a slideshow. I was actually in a TV commercial in the Philippines. And so this is my commercial that I put on. And then of course, after that introduction, then I will show photos of before and after of patients that I've done. And what it does is they have the same thing. They have templates where you could just drag and drop the images in the preformed templates, and all the actions, transitions, and all that, you know, going in and out, it's all built into the software. So it's very easy. You can make a pretty good slideshow in probably 30 minutes. So that's some of the images on my slideshow. And there's this other program called Cinemagraphs, where you can actually make the image. You make a movie, and then you take part of the movie and freeze it while the other part moves. And so this is kind of freaky, but it's kind of cool too. And you could be very, very artistic about it. But you know, I was kind of playing around with this one, and so I had my front office manager making all these faces, but I actually made her head still, but the image in the mirror keep moving. And so it's a pretty fun program to do. And I'm still trying to decide on how I can utilize this, but you know, I put this on Facebook one time, and a lot of people got a big kick out of it. So, but I just haven't had time to play around with this Cinemagraph software. And this patient of mine, he's a tattoo artist. So he told me about this commercial that he did, and I did his teeth, but basically, I'm not sure if you've seen this. Basically, I wish you can hear it. I'm not sure if were you able to hear that?
No,
No?
unfortunately, it's
No,
not
we
coming through.
weren't. I think it's a setting when you launch into sharing, you have to check that you're going to share your audio too.
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, just go to AT&T YouTube, and he's on there, the tattoo artist. So he told me that by getting his teeth done, you know, he's more confident with being able to land a lot of the commercial gigs. So that was one of his gigs there. So how you showcase your work can be a powerful tool, and it could be a powerful tool for you and your ceramist, because if you can actually showcase the ceramic work of the ceramist, then he's going to do his best to do better ceramic work, of course. And because you're providing him with better photos, so he's going to put more effort into doing your case by giving him or her photos of their work in the mouth. So that's why I like to do it, you know, so this way I can actually show that different quality of work. Not all dentists and ceramists are all equal as far as their work goes. So glamour photos, how you set yourself apart. So I don't have a clock right now. You know what time it is?
You've been talking for about 90 minutes now. So
Okay.
we have another 30 minutes, but we have questions depending what you want to do.
Okay, let me just cover one part here. Let me get to it. So this is pretty much the most important difference with photography. It's quality of light. So let me just cover that. It's hard light versus soft light. And so basically hard light is when the sun is not diffused. Basically you have direct sunlight and you can see the shadows of the person, and you can see how the shadows are pretty hard, and it's defined. It's very, very defined. So that's what we call hard light. And you can actually see a lot of this during the middle of the day is hard light. So you can see how hard light actually affects glamour shots, photos. So when you're looking at the photos here, you can see how harsh the light looks. Soft light, on the other hand, is when you have clouds that's diffusing the sunlight. So what the clouds do is it actually disperses the light all around. So it produces very, very soft, diffused lighting all over the place. So this is what it looks like when you have soft light. You have soft shadows on the skin. So what do we do when we take photos? We take photos with flashes, like the ring flash and the dual flash, and it produces hard light. So when we're taking photos, our photos are hard looking. They don't look pleasing. So what we try to do is try to diffuse it by putting these bouncers, these bouncer flashes. But the issue is that it's still not good enough to diffuse. So one of the principles I wanted to show is that when you have a very, very small, when you have a large light source, as that light source becomes smaller, it actually produces more shadows. So let me show you this. You can see how when the light source becomes greater, the shadows disappear and they become softer. So one of the key things that I use is I try to use large light sources. So basically, the larger the light source, the softer the light. The closer the light source, the softer the light. So that is the main principle of how to make beautiful photos, is have a large light source, make the large source as big as you can, and it produces softer light, because that light wraps around your subject and the shadows go away. So some of the things that we as cosmetic dentists like to do is just try to diffuse the light source, which is the flashes. And so this is what looks like the bare flash. And then the middle one is the light bouncers. So what we're using here is we're using indirect light. So we're trying to bounce the light source to the light cardboard, and try to bounce it off. And then the Villadiego flash, basically what I did was I made my own flash from, it's from a mixing bowl. And so I just changed it and just made just cut a hole in the lid and put like a white transparent a cloth on it to diffuse it. So that way I can actually control my light better. But these are some of the photos. This is what a ring flash would look like. You can see that the light reflection is right in the middle of the teeth. This is when I use dual flash with a light source that's more diffused. And you can see that the flash is coming from a wider aspect. And so if you look at the ring flash, which is coming from the front, versus the dual flash with the modifier, you can see the difference in same teeth, same case, but just a different look. So this is my flash modifier. So you can see that the light source is coming from the right and the left side. So that way I can actually get the light reflections on the angle of the teeth, and it shows more 3 dimension to it. And I can take it off my camera and just kind of move it into one direction. So this is basically taking one of the flashes and just putting it to the side of the teeth and taking a really close-up photo. But ring flash, you need studio lights and reflectors. So the lights and reflectors, they're diffused, they're large light sources, they're softer light. So ring flash, and this is clinical ring flash that I'm using. And this is with my studio lights and reflectors. Totally different look. And so I know that if my competitor next door is going to show teeth with smiles on it, they're going to be using ring flashes. But I've gone beyond ring flashes as far as my post-ops and using glamour lighting. So this is the ring flashes, and this is with the studio lights. Hope you can see the difference. And same thing, skin tones are different because it's a diffused light. So not all restorations are created equal. So that's why I always tell my patients, I'm more expensive because I have better ceramics. And of course, I show it off by showing them the difference. And this is the studio lights. So if you're wondering why your photos don't look better, it's probably because you're using the wrong light source. So you have to show your patients the difference. And here's Nancy again. So the ring flash versus studio lights. And of course, I have to put my glamour shots in there. Same thing, clinical ring flash, studio lights. So you're gonna see a lot of cosmetic dentists out there, they're using strobe lights. They're not using ring flashes and small dual flashes. They're actually using studio lights to show off their work. So that's all I wanted to cover. So if anybody has any questions, fire away.
We do. We'll take you through. If you have several questions around the type of camera that you use, do you ever use an iPhone or a pen camera? What's your camera armamentarium look like?
I don't use I use DSLRs, so because I can actually control the aspect ratio of a DSLR, and I can also control all the settings. The problem with using the iPhone is that the camera on the iPhone, the lenses are basically wide angle lenses, and they distort the image. So it's not a true image. It's going to be looking a little distorted. So when you're taking these selfies, you don't look pleasing because the eyes are bulging out, the ears are bigger, the noses are bigger, the lips are bigger, because the lenses that they use in an iPhone are wide angle lenses. So they make the image a lot more wider.
Makes perfect sense. Do you use a software for, I think they're talking about the templates, like the spear outlines and those kind of things. Talk to them a little bit about how you do the outlines on the teeth.
Yeah, the outlines on the teeth, basically, you know, I took a lot of spear classes. So you can create your own templates, shapes of teeth. And so what I do is I use it mostly on Keynote, where you can make different outlines. And so I've made my own beyond just the ones that Spear gives you. So
Fantastic.
you can create these templates. And so I have templates for different cases that's already pre-made in a Keynote presentation.
Gotcha. And then let's see, when you're taking photos during a procedure, do you deglove or use a barrier or delegate to a staff member? How do you get those photos?
I'm sorry, do I use gloves?
Do you deglove? Do you take your gloves off and then use the camera, or how do you handle sterile technique with photography in the office?
Yeah, pretty much. We alcohol off our camera systems, and I do change gloves all the time, so I will change them. But you know, it's nowadays with the coronavirus. I'm gonna have to rethink of what's the best way to do that. So I haven't gone back to the office yet to experiment with that.
Yes. How do you coach your patients to get them into that end-to-end bite? A lot of times it's hard to get them where you want them. What do you say to them?
So basically, it's just a matter of personality. You know, you got to give energy if you want energy from your patients. And so you can't just say, can you smile for me? Smile. You know, you kind of have to joke around and, you know, give them energy, laugh. You know, usually what I'll do is I'll do a big laugh, like ha 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 ha. And so what they do is they think I'm crazy, and so they'll laugh along with me. And you know, when they start laughing with you and making all these funny faces or funny sounds, you better be ready to start shooting, because they will laugh along with you, and those are the best shots. We call it the laughing smile.
Very good. Do you have any trouble convincing your patients to do a photo shoot, or what do you tell them to get them to consent?
You never want to ask the patients to do a photo shoot after you've just placed the restorations in. You don't want to do it like a week after or 2 weeks after. What I do is I will wait until maybe 3 to 6 months after, because by then they've forgotten how much you've tortured them, how much you know the cords, how the cords felt. And also by that time that the gums have healed. Lots of patients have had people compliment them on their smiles, and so, you know, they've forgotten what they went through, and so that's when the best time to ask them is 3 or 6 months later, after everything has healed up, and, you know, they have a different thinking of, you know, they're more confident, and
Right.
and they have self-assurance. So that's when you ask them.
There you go. And then do you have a photography class you might recommend?
You know, you can go to creativelive.com. You know, they have lots of courses on there. You can go to YouTube. There's lots of courses on YouTube. So there's so many nowadays there's so many tutorials out there that you can actually just do it. But the main part is actually doing it. You know, just you're gonna mess up like anything else, but what's the harm? You can just delete it. So yeah, it's just practice.
Right. I think that's one of the main things I got out of your course is take some bad photos, take some good ones, pick a parameter, mess with that one parameter, go up and down on that, see what works and doesn't work for you. We had a question about speed lights or strobe diffusers.
Speed lights are good, but as long as you have good, it's still a small source. So speed lights are still a small source. You have to make sure that you put a larger diffuser in there. But the speed lights run on batteries. So you got to make sure that your battery is strong enough to produce light. Whereas strobe lights are connected to an electric socket, of course, and you can control that light output, and it's more consistent as far as the light output on the strobe light. And there's so many different there's so many different diffusers for strobe lights as well. It's limited for speed lights.
Fantastic. And then what about photo consent? Is there a form you use, or how do you recommend getting photo consent and when?
Yeah, I always have photo consent at the very, very beginning. It also now covers video. So if you want to, get a copy, just email me, and hopefully they took down my email, or they can get it from you later. And, just email me and I'll send the consent form.
Good deal. You mentioned video. How do you show patients your videos?
Just through, well, there's lots of ways, through Facebook, YouTube, your own office. Right now, I'm going to be putting a big screen in the front of the reception room with all my patients doing a slideshow, and with movies as well, and of course testimonials.
Fantastic. And then do you have a dental lab you can recommend? You'll share that secret?
Well, it's actually, there's all these cases are different lab technicians. So there's
Gotcha.
no one particular one that I use. It's just a matter of you communicating with your ceramist.
Okay. I think those were most of the photography. There were a couple of questions about the TMJ appliance that you use and technique on that. Any protocols you want to talk about on TMJ?
Yeah, so basically, before I start any type of full mouth restorations, I always will try to deprogram them, even if they don't have any issues. But I want to make sure that they're in, I'm a CR guy, and so I want to make sure that they're in CR. And so I will have them wear the orthotic appliance for at least a couple weeks, 24 hours, 24/7, all the time for a couple weeks. So that way I know that their muscles get relaxed. Because if you do it partial, when you wear it during daytime, when you wear it at nighttime, but you don't wear it during the daytime, your muscles are going to shift and your condyles are going to shift. And so you're in the wrong position again. So I want to make sure that the muscles get deprogrammed, make sure that they're relaxed, and that they're always going in the same position before I actually start any restorations.
Very good. On the dental work you were doing for your team members, how do you handle that? Do they cover the lab cost, or how do you split it?
Hang on one. Also for the appliance, basically it's a flat plane appliance with a 45-degree ramp on it, anterior ramp. So that's pretty much, and then I actually have them come back, and I will adjust the appliance each week for maybe about 4 weeks. And so, I'm sorry, what's the next question?
When you're doing dental work for your team, how do you handle the cost on that? Do they cover the lab fee, or do you split it? How do you do that?
They cover the lab fee, and I make sure that they sign that they're going to stay with me for at least a year.
Yeah.
So there's like a little contract that says that they have to stay with me for at least whatever length you want to put it on yours, but I want to make sure that they have at least a year working with me.
Very
and
good.
I want to make sure that it's kind of like dating somebody. You got to make sure that you've got the right person, and you just don't do it knowing that that they might leave you. So
Sure.
So I make sure that they've worked with me for at least 6 months before I actually start doing anything.
Gotcha. Can you talk about the lens you're using for your portrait photography?
Yeah, basically, I use as far as the portraits, it has to be the length should be about 80 millimeters to 120 millimeters, so around that range. So the 100 millimeter macro is right in the middle, so I always use my 100 millimeter macro lens as well for my portraits.
Very good. Let's see. I think there were a few more in there about technique on lengthening the anteriors. Any problems with envelope of function? How do you deal with that?
Basically, it's about temporaries and making sure that they can function. So you don't go to the next step until they've been wearing. With composites, it's pretty much transitional. So that one you can change all the time, but it's just a matter of making sure that if you're doing indirects, that your temporary restorations are working.
Fantastic. Have you entered the digital world as far as your impressions goes yet, or still analog?
I'm still doing analog, but I did just get a new scanner. So as soon as we're back into working, I'm going to be using the new scanner.
Fantastic. Dr. Hess, take a look at those. I think we've covered just about everything on that.
There was one. What technique are you using to do full anteriors and composite? How do you do wax up and transfer to patient's mouth?
Oh God, that's like a whole workshop. It's just going to workshops and continuing education and learning, is just not a one sentence answer, but basically it's just a matter of, deprogramming and getting the right vertical and testing. And, I do the composites with wax up and a template, and I do each tooth individually. And then I restore one, skip a tooth, restore the other one, and then come back and restore the middle one. So there's always going to be a little bit of a skip on there. So that way I can polish up the proximals.
Okay, and I'll answer this question for you. It's recommendations for good cameras. Nikon.
There we go.
I'll second that.
Yeah, same here.
I'm a Canon guy, so.
We saw that. You've done very well to overcome the obstacles and get.
It's knowing how to use the camera, right?
Yeah. You had questions about the iPhones, and there's a question about point and shoot cameras. And I know you're not going to use one yourself, but is there any out there that you think might be okay?
Yeah, if you go to photomed.com, or I'm sorry, photomed.net, I think.
Yeah.
Go to Photomed, and they actually have a point and shoot camera that they've modified so that it takes intraoral photos. So go to them, and I don't know what the more recent model is, but Canon, it's a Canon camera. So
all right,
but Photomed has a good one.
Okay. It's interesting because you're doing this high-end cosmetic dentistry, and that's really what you're known for. The average guy out there, training your staff to do these photos. Any thoughts on that?
Make them watch the videos. There's so many, nowadays, there's so many dentists teaching clinical photography, the workshops. So make sure that, what I suggest is having the dentist go with their team, because every time I teach these courses, it's always the team members. And if the dentist is not, how would I say, invested in it, then it just doesn't work. So the dentist has to come with their team members, and so that way they can actually help the team members later on when it comes to their office.
Okay. And yourself, do you have some upcoming courses that you're teaching?
I did, but they were wiped out with the COVID. But I will be sending out a new schedule. So, yeah. So it'll be in LA.
All right.
Beautiful.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Villadiego. It's great to see you again and get a catch up on so many of these outstanding techniques. Your photography is just amazing, and I'll keep pushing to try to get to that level. Dr. Hess, what else? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bernie.
Well, this is actually my first webinar, so it's kind of.
Really?
So I've been a voyeur. I've always watched presentations and webinars, but I tend to do a lot of more hands-on. So it's kind of this. How can I say? When you're just talking, it's just kind of different. So
yeah.
It'll be a lot more fun with the hands-on.
Yeah,
Well,
you did great.
You did a great job, yeah, for your first one. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And the key is Wi-Fi it's tricky business. Well,
yeah, so I'll know better next time.
All right. So, Dr. Ross, that brings us to the end of Arkansas AGD Day. I just wanted to say thank you very much, sir. Any final comments from Arkansas?
No, we're just so happy to be working with you and looking forward to doing more of this in the future. I think this is a fantastic way to get a great deal of information out to a very wide audience. And then everybody can choose what courses they want to follow up on and go take Bernie's course in the future, or the master track out there in Washington. I'm kind of itching to take that on. So we'll see.
Sounds great. Hey, for the rest of you that are still on the webinar, we're going to leave these flyers up here for a minute or so. You can see upcoming courses that we have. We have another 8 webinars this week, so please join us. Once we get our final webinars settled for next week, we'll get those up on our Facebook page, and they'll be available at washingtonagd.org. For CE credit, you will be receiving your CE credit through the University of Washington School of Dentistry CE department. That CE credit should be coming within the next 2 or 3 days. Look for a PDF from the University of Washington, save that PDF, put your name on it, and AGD members will be reporting your CE credits directly to the Academy of General Dentistry. We would like to thank all our sponsors that include Comet USA, Patterson Dental, the Canadian Academy of Restorative Dentistry and Prosthodontics, Pierce County Dental Society, Snohomish County Dental Society, and the Seattle King County Dental Society. We'd like to thank the International Academy of Nathology for yesterday's speakers. We want to thank the Arkansas Academy of General Dentistry again for putting today together. That was fantastic. And just a reminder, there is 8 more webinars this week. Please tune in Thursday. That's Card P Day. That's Canadian Academy of Restorative Dentistry and Prosthodontics. So looking forward to seeing you guys again at the Washington Academy of General Dentistry Stay Home, Stay Healthy CE series. With that, we're going to end this webinar. And just again, Dr. Ross, thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Villadiego. Sorry about that.
You're welcome.
And look forward to meeting you in person one of these days.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for having
much.
me.
Thank you, Dr. Hayamoto. Thank you, Dr. Edwards. And thank you to our Executive Director, Valerie Bartoli. All righty.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Take
Thank
care.
you.